The Battle of Erquelinnes, a Battle of Péchant, saw a Republican French army jointly led by Jacques Desjardin and Louis Charbonnier try to defend a bridgehead on the north bank of the Sambre River against a combined Habsburg Austrian and Dutch army led by Franz Wenzel, Graf von Kaunitz-Rietberg. The French crossed the Sambre on the 20th and held their positions for a few days. On the 24th, Kaunitz launched an early morning surprise attack that routed the French. The War of the First Coalition combat represented the second of 5 French attempts to gain a foothold on the north bank of the Sambre. Erquelinnes is a village in Belgium directly on the border with France. It is situated about 30 kilometers southwest of Charleroi. Jean-Charles Picquet, the top French military commander in the north, formed a mass of 60,000 troops by joining Desjardins' 3-division right wing of the Army of the North to Charbonnier's 2-division Army of the Ardennes. Without a single leader to control the force, Desjardins' troops were beaten by Kaunitz at Grandmont on the 13th of May, while Charbonnier's men stood idle nearby. On the 20th, the combined force recrossed the Sambre and repelled Kaunitz's attempt to dislodge them on the 21st. Again there were command problems when Desjardins missed an opportunity because he could not issue orders to one of Charbonnier's divisions. After 2 days of hesitation, the French sent 15,000 men under Jean-Baptiste Leclerc north on a raid to seize Nivelles. Kaunitz's sudden assault on the 24th of May overwhelmed his foe's defences, and the French were saved from catastrophic losses when Leclerc turned back and marched to the rescue. Desjardins and Charbonnier would try again but suffer a third defeat at Gosselies on June 3. After that, a new general would try a 4th time at Lambusart on the 16th of June before achieving success at Flores on the 26th of June. Background: Operations: The coalition army successfully concluded the siege of Landraces on the 30th of April 1794 and took 5,000 French prisoners. This victory nearly cut the French armies in half and led to a change in strategy. The Committee of Public Safety ordered the 70,000-strong left wing of the Army of the North under Jean-Charles Picquet to capture Ypres and Tournai. The 24,000-man centre under Jacques was instructed to guard the communications between the French left and right wings while keeping an eye on the coalition army. On the right, the Army of the Ardennes under Louis Charbonnier and the right wing of the Army of the North under Jacques Desjardins were to assemble near Philippeville, numbering 60,000 soldiers. This body was directed to march northwest toward Mons. Farther to the southeast, Army of the Moselle, commanded by Jean-Baptiste Jourdan, was ordered to send a force toward Namur-Via-Arlon. On the 4th of May 1794, the French left-wing divisions were posted as follows: from left to right, Pierre-Antoine Michaud with 14,238 men at Bergs, Jean-Victor Marie Moreau with 15,744 troops at Menin, Joseph Souham with 31,115 soldiers at Courtrai, Nicolas Pekin with 8,423 men at Canton, and Pierre-Jacques Austin with 7,569 troops at Pontet-Marceq. The centre consisted of the divisions of Paul-Alexis Dubois with 11,353 soldiers at Beauharnais Abbey, and Antoine Balland with 12,701 men at Guise. The Army of the North right-wing divisions were led by Jacques Fromentin with 15,749 troops at Avonay-sur-Helpe. l'arrondissement with 7,042 soldiers at Le Mont-Fontaine and Desjardins with 10,075 men at Beaumont, Belgium. The Army of the Ardennes had a single division under Philippe Joseph Jacob with 21,851 troops at Boussy-les-Walcourt. Jourdan's 21,000-strong Arlon force had 3 divisions under Jean-Étienne Championnet, François-Joseph Lefebvre and Antoine Morlot. These were the soldiers available for service in the field, excluding garrisons. At the same time, the 30,000-strong coalition left wing was led by Prince Frederick, Duke of York and Albany, and François-Sébastien Charles-Joseph Decoy, Count of Clerfayton, deployed from Newport to Dinant. Supreme Commander Prince Josias of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld commanded the 65,000-man centre with his headquarters at Le Cateau-Cambrésis. The left wing under Franz Wenzel, Graf von Kaunitz-Rietberg, counted 27,000 troops and had its headquarters at Rouvroy. Farther to the southeast, Johann Peter Bewley had 8,000 men at Arlon, and Ernst Paul Christian von Blankenstein defended Trier with 9,000 more. Kaunitz's wing included 34 battalions, 20 companies and 39 squadrons, the greater part at Battignes with 2,000 soldiers holding Charleroi, and a left wing of 5,000 men led by Karl von Ries watching the crossings of the Sambre and Meuse rivers. Grandrang adjustments were made to the French right wing before its offensive. Charbonnier split his army into 2 divisions under François-Séverin Marceau Desgraviers and Jacob, plus a detachment under Claude Vezoux. François Muller assumed command of Desjardins' division, leaving and Charles Bassett Montagu's 4,741-man brigade to hold Avesnes. Fromentin marched the bulk of his division to the east side of Maubeuge. Desperox's division made a similar shift. In an extraordinary oversight, Pichegru neglected to appoint a single commander of the right wing, leaving Desjardins and Charbonnier to work out some sort of joint action. To make matters more difficult, the representatives on mission attached to the force were the high-handed Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just and Philippe François-Joseph Lebar. At dawn on the 10th of May 1794, the French force advanced toward the Sambre in 7 columns, seizing crossings at Thuin and L'Aubes that day. On the 11th, a column crossed at Aulne Abbey farther east, and Marceau occupied Fontaine-l'Évêque. On the 12th the French captured Merbas-le-Château to the west. Kaunitz withdrew his corps into an entrenched position with its right flank at Grand Reng, its centre at Rouvroy and its left near Binche. On the 13th of May 1794, in the Battle of Grand Reng, the French attacked Kaunitz. Muller unsuccessfully assaulted Grand Reng, while Fromentin's attack against the centre was stopped by Austrian cavalry. Kaunitz then launched a counterattack which compelled the French to withdraw south of the Sambre with losses of 4,000 men and 12 guns. Because of the mistakes of its commanders, Kaunitz, with no more than 25,000 coalition soldiers, was able to defeat a 53,000-strong French army. On the 13th, Charbonnier's divisions baked bread at Fontaine-l'Évêque and stood idle at Mont-Saint-Geneviève, leaving Desjardins and his 35,000 troops to do all the fighting. Without attempting any maneuver, Desjardins and his generals threw the soldiers, with no shoes, wet powder and shabby uniforms, into the assault against enemies well protected by solid fieldworks. The French troops lacked support from heavy cannons and had to contend with the superior Austrian cavalry. so it was not surprising that they were beaten. Around midday on the 15th of May, Kaunitz launched an attack to recapture some positions on the south bank of the Sambre. After 3 hours of skirmishing and artillery duels, the thwarted Austrian general withdrew his forces. Battle preparations on the 16th of May, Saint-Just-and-Le-Bar called a council of war at Desjardins headquarters, which was attended by Pichegru, Charbonnier, Jean-Baptiste Ber and Barthélemy Louis-Joseph Scherer. Outraged by seeing French soldiers fleeing from the recent battlefield, the two political operatives published a broadside announcing that cowards and malingerers would be shot, probably trying to limit future damage caused by Charbonnier's ineptitude. Pichegru drafted an order declaring that the Brabant expedition would form a single army corps subject to the orders of Desjardins, Charbonnier, Ber and Scherer. The last two would act as Desjardins' deputies, each leading 2 divisions. Jacques was replaced in command of his division by Jean-Adam Mayer. The Army of the Ardennes was reorganized so that Mayer's division had 7 battalions and 1 regiment of cavalry. Marceau's division had 9 battalions, 3 cavalry regiments, and Jean-Thomas Guillaume Lorge's detached flankers of the right had 6 battalions, and 1 cavalry regiment. Jean-Joseph von Storchpel arrived from Capelle with 3 light cavalry regiments, to which a 4th was added to create an advanced guard. 4 regiments of heavy cavalry were grouped into a reserve and assigned to Guillaume Soland. At this time Prince Coburg warned his wing commander that the main army was moving in the direction of Tournai and that Kaunitz must act strictly on the defensive. On the 18th of May 1794, Coburg and his 74,000-strong army were defeated in the Battle of Tours, owing by the 82,000-man left wing of the Army of the North, led by Souham in the absence of Pichegru. This was followed on the 22nd of May by the Battle of Tournai, in which Coburg defeated Pichegru's attacks. Kaunitz deployed an outpost line along the north bank of the Sambre with Prince Heinrich XV of Roussplauen in charge of the left and Paul Davidovich directing the right. Aware of the large numerical superiority of the French, the Austrian wing commander issued orders to be carried out in case a retreat was necessary. The 21st of May combat. On the evening of the 19th of May, Prince Rousse passed along intelligence that the French were going to launch an offensive the following day. At 4 a.m. Kaunitz directed all outposts east of Erquelinnes to fall back to the main defences in time to avoid being cut off. These orders resulted in weak resistance to the French advance on the 20th of May. Hautpal's advance guard crossed at L'Aubes and moved northwest to Bon-Espérance-Abbey, facing Binche. Fromentine also crossed at L'Aubes and moved west past Bien-les-Hapet in 2 brigade columns, with Guillaume Philibert du Hesme on the right and Jean Frossard on the left. The division followed the retreating coalition forces through the abandoned village of Péchant until it was facing the entrenched Grandreng camp. Muller's division crossed and advanced west through Merbes-Sainte-Marie-on-Fromentin's left. Finally, Desperox's division and Soland's cavalry reserve crossed and took position in a second line behind Muller and Fromentin. Mayer's division took position near Bon-Espérance-Abbey on Fromentin's right. Watching Charleroi were Marceau's division at Liens north of the Sambre and Lorge's brigade at Montigny-le-Tilleul on the south bank. During the day, Desjardins asked Marceau to become part of his staff and Vesoul took over his division. It rained hard that evening, the French positions being unfortified. Kaunitz ordered his right wing under Davidovich to assault the French along the Erquelinnes road. At the same time, Franz von Werneck with 6 battalions and 2 squadrons was to march up from Villers-Saint-Nicole in the rear to turn Desjardins' left flank. The attack started at 8 a.m. on the 21st of May along the entire front. After an artillery bombardment, the Austrian cavalry moved forward near Binche but were brought to a halt by Hautpal's troopers. Covered by intense cannon fire, Wernek's column surprised the French, who abandoned Erquelinnes. Lecoutber was soon on the spot, ordering Solon's cavalry into action and sending 3 battalions under André Poncet to recapture Erquelinnes. Muller's division had been deployed with Joseph Leonard Richard Brigade in front of Poncet's. Solon's horsemen were driven off, but Poncet formed his men into battalion columns and charged into the teeth of artillery fire, repulsing Wernek's cavalry and recapturing Erquelinnes. By 3 p.m., when Desperox's division entered the fight, the Austrian attack had lost its momentum. During the afternoon, the Marburg commandant Jean-Dominique Favreau sent a 2,000-man French column to attack a 7th as a diversion. This force lost 10 killed and 80 wounded in the skirmish. During the struggle, Duhesme pointed out to Lecoutber that the Austrian left flank was weak and suggested an attack. Lecoutber brought the idea to Desjardin, but the general declined to directly order Mayer's division to advance because it belonged to the Army of the Ardennes. Desjardins felt that he had to send the orders through Charbonnier, but the general was too far away for the return instructions to reach Mayer in time. On the 19th of May, Charbonnier had sent a note warning Desjardins that Mayer would only obey orders coming from his own army commander. He was reluctant to follow the orders of Pichegru to cooperate with the right wing of the Army of the North and still considered himself an independent commander. He was also focused on Charleroi, which he believed was held by 8,000 enemies. On the 21st of May, Charbonnier was near Fontaine-l'Évêque rounding up livestock for his army's use. The 24th of May combat. On the 22nd of May, the French busily fortified the positions facing Kaunitz's corps. Desjardins got artillery ammunition from the magazines at Marburg, while Charbonnier's army accumulated 4 days of rations at Thuin. At about this time, Montagu assumed command of Desperox's division. On the 23rd, a council of war decided to send Lecoutber and 15,000 men on a foraging raid north to Nivelles. This force was composed of 9 battalions of elite troops under Poncet and Duhesme, drawn from the Army of the North plus Hautpal's 4 light cavalry regiments. The Army of the Ardennes contributed 4,000 men to the force, including 2 battalions of light infantry, the 20th Chasseurs à Cheval and the Grenadier companies from Vesoul and Mayer's divisions. Despite these plans, Charbonnier remained fixated on Charleroi. He planned to bring up 3 heavy cannons and 2 mortars to bombard the place on the 24th, while the French planned to bombard Charleroi and launch a cattle raid. Kaunitz determined to attack the French on the 24th of May. The Austrian general had 29 and a third battalions, 5 companies and 40 squadrons at his disposal, which were divided into 5 attack columns and a reserve. Franz Vincenz von Hoditz's first column was made up of 3 battalions, 1 company, 8 squadrons and 4 position guns. The second column under Peter Vitus von Quosdanovich had 6 battalions, 12 squadrons and 12 position guns. Davidovich's third column consisted of 6 battalions, 1 company, 6 squadrons and 12 position guns. The fourth column, led by Prince Rus, counted 5 battalions, 2 companies, 5 squadrons and 7 position guns. Johann Gottfried von Schroeder's fifth column was composed of 5 and a third battalions, 1 company, 5 squadrons and 2 position guns. The all-Dutch reserve, made up of 4 battalions and 4 squadrons, was positioned at Bray, to the northwest of Binche. The position guns were deployed in batteries while the mortar more numerous line guns were distributed to the infantry battalions. The coalition columns were numbered from south to north. The second column was directed against Erquelinnes, with the first column guarding its right flank. After taking the village, it would move east along the Sambre, capturing the bridges. Kaunitz ordered the third column to advance toward Lobs, but if the French tried to move toward Binche, it would swing to its left, attacking their enemies from the rear. The fourth column was to pass Péchant on its right, occupying the village with light infantry, and also head in the direction of Lobs. The fifth column would keep an eye on the French right flank and protect the reserve. To divert the attention of the French in Maubeuge, Maximilien Anton Karl, Count Bailly de la Tour made a false attack against Boussoir at daybreak with one battalion, one 12-pound cannon and 2 squadrons each of Austrian Chevaliers, sledges and Dutch cavalry. At 2:30 a.m., the coalition columns advanced to the attack. Hoditz's first column occupied Grand Reng d'Enjumont. Covered by an early morning fog, Kaunitz's men took the French completely by surprise. Quosdanovich's second column and Davidovich's third column easily overran the redoubts guarding Erquelinnes and broke into the village. The divisions of Montagu and Muller quickly retreated to the south bank of the Sambre, the former taking up a position between Sulray-le-Sambre and Bouizier, while the latter organized a line between Bouizier and Pomer-Ulwood. Aside from seizing much of Muller's artillery, the Austrians captured many French fugitives who got lost in the woods. The fourth column of Rousse also surprised the French near Péchant. The French pickets were captured and the fortifications were reached without a shot being fired. Many soldiers of Fromentin's division were killed or captured in the beds, while the survivors took to the heels, asleep in a farmhouse when the attack began. The division's generals were unable to react to the situation. Lacking orders to retreat, 2 line and 1 light battalions on the division's right flank were surrounded and forced to surrender. Rousse's column advanced toward Lobs, but he was unable to get to the bridge because he bumped into Kleber's force, which had countermarched. That morning Caille-Acute-Ber was near Andalus when he heard Kaunitz's cannon. Scouting toward the battlefield, he discovered evidence of the disaster. Immediately, Caille-Acute-Ber turned his force around and headed for Lobs, where he found the wreckage of Fromentin's division retreating, covered by a single intact battalion. Kleber's soldiers formed a line blocking the Austrians from further pursuit. There was a stiff fight between the troops of Caille-Acute-Ber and Rousse near Bien-les-Epardes, during which Mayer's division escaped. Schroeder's 5th column started marching through Binche at 8 a.m. and soon discovered French troops near Bonne-Espérance Abbey. This was Mayer's division, now isolated. Schroeder detached Wilhelm Lothar-Maria von Kerpen to outflank the French, while he pushed ahead toward Andalus. The French fell back without fighting to Mont Sainte-Geneviève, where Kerpen discovered them somewhat later and asked for assistance. Schroeder sent a detachment of Barco hussars to dislodge the French, but they were gone when the hussars arrived. In the evening, the 5th column reunited in front of Fontaine-l'Évêque, where Schroeder found the tail of Kleber's retreating column and scattered it. The spoils included a convoy of provisions collected by Kleber's foraging parties. Results: after withdrawing to the south bank of the Sambre, Mayer's division took position between Théane and Aulnes Abbey, while Vesu's division lined the river between the Abbey and Montigny-le-Tilleul. The cavalry of Hautpoul and Solent reassembled south of Villawood. Desjardin admitted losing 30 cannons and 3,000 men, mostly prisoners, estimating that his foes only lost about 500 men. In fact, Kaunitz reported 5 officers, 23 non-commissioned officers and 583 soldiers were casualties. One authority estimated that the French suffered losses of 3,000 killed and wounded plus 2,400 men. 32 32 guns, 40 ammunition wagons and 3 colors captured out of 30,000 engaged. Coalition losses were given as 400 killed and wounded and 250 captured out of 24,000 engaged. Yet another source listed French casualties as 4,000 men and 25 guns. I was dismayed. I did not know whom to reproach for operations so badly arranged. I did not see the shadow of treason, but the incapacity of the leaders was flagrant. Kaunitz ordered Schroeder to clear the French from Lobs, Thuan and Aulnes Abbey on the 25th. For this purpose, his lieutenant was reinforced to a strength of 6 battalions, 12 squadrons, 12 heavy cannons and 10 howitzers. Schroeder found the French holding the bridge at Aulnes Abbey in great strength and declined to attack. On the afternoon of the 26th of May his force crossed downstream at Marchiennes-au-Pont and took up a nearby position on the south bank. The French soldiers were shoeless, hungry, tired and discouraged. The generals and representatives held a gloomy council of war at Thuan on the 26th of May. During the meeting, St. Just abruptly cut off further discussion by announcing, "Make a victory for the Republic tomorrow. Choose a siege or a battle." The French were drubbed again at the Battle of Erquelinnes on the 3rd of June. Under Jourdan they were beaten a 4th time at the Battle of Lambusart on the 16th of June. The epic Battle of Flores was fought on the 26th of June, in which the French finally emerged victorious.